Hello and welcome back to Radiant Dawn 0% Growths. We're on Chapter 2-3. I think it will come as no surprise to learn that Lucia was the MVP of the previous chapter. Pretty obvious. This chapter, as is so often the case in Part 2, we have a whole bunch of new units. I'm going to try not to talk about them individually so much as just as a collection, because there's a lot of pretty similar things to say about all of them. Marcia is back, so she's not a new unit. We talked about her already, but honestly, a lot of the things that can be said about all of these units can be said about Marcia as well. I mean, their defining characteristic, of course, is availability. They have low availability. They are all available in this chapter. They are available towards the end of 2E, generally to a point where they're not really contributing anything, unless you're playing the chapter very slowly. And because even if like they show up, generally speaking, like there's not that many enemies left to deal with, and the ones that they are engaging, they're usually not like strong enough to do much against to where it's like gonna make a difference to anything really. So then they show up again in 3-9. And then rejoin later in Part 3. There are some exceptions to that. So Marcia obviously is available in 2P and is also available from the beginning of 2E rather than at the end. And then while most of them rejoin is for the wrong word for it, but join the Grail Mercenaries sometime late Part 3. It might just be straight away in 310. I'm pretty sure Marcia at least joins in 310, but maybe they all do, and I just don't deploy them. Anyway, but Joffrey doesn't rejoin until Part 4. So, yeah, so low availability. They're also, like, statistically, like, aside from Astrid, like, they're at least, like, roughly similar, right? They're mostly going to be doubling the same enemies and not doubling the same enemies, right? Like, everybody's pretty close to 20 speed. Makalov having only 18 speed does matter, for sure. And he definitely is worse as a consequence, but, you know, roughly they're giving you similar performance from a speed standpoint. From a damage output standpoint, there's, like, a clear, like, declining thing from Joffrey to Kieran. To really, Danved probably is dealing more damage than Makalov because he is doubling more and using lances, and then Makalov and Marcia. Obviously, if you're playing with growths, like, you might have gotten Marcia a few levels by this point. There's also, like, the possibility of transfer bonuses, which can change this up a little bit, most likely on Marcia or Kieran, but generally speaking, yeah, the damage output is, like, not too dissimilar, with the exception that the Lance users can use the Brave Lance that Joffrey has. I mean, generally, you're going to leave that on Joffrey, but the point is that, like, if it weren't for the Brave Lance, Kieran's damage output and Joffrey's damage output would be very similar, because axes do more damage than lances. But because of the Brave Lance, we don't have a Brave Axe to give Kieran, so Joffrey definitely has a significant edge there. Yeah. Astrid, I mentioned as a bit of an exception, more than a bit. She's really bad. Not only is she significantly slower, enough to where there are enemies that in this chapter, which is her joining chapter, right? It's not like she's undertrained or like 0% growth has had an effect on her at this point. She gets doubled by enemies with that are in this chapter with 19 speed. I mean, it's pretty sad. Also, her strength is quite low. She's bow-locked, which has multiple disadvantages in terms of not being able to counterattack an enemy phase, generally speaking, in terms of not having access to, like, the higher might tier that the other weapons have. So, like, you know, you can use, like, a steel great lance instead of a steel lance, that sort of thing. Like, there's no equivalent in the bows. So, you know, the most Astrid can do in terms of her weapon is much more limited, so she really just doesn't do much damage at all. Yeah, she's really bad. It's sad, because she's really good in Path of Radiance. I mean, she's not, like, the best paladin in Path of Radiance, but the class is so good, and she's got Paragon to help her catch up from her low, like, starting point. Lots of levels to use, like, the Night Ward. all kind of good stuff. In this game, she's just really bad. Yeah. So the only other thing I think that's worth mentioning is, of course, you know, 4 of these are paladins, and then obviously Danvid and Marcia are not. And paladin in general in Radiant Dawn is really not a very good class. It's got pretty bad caps, and there's a lot of chapters with significant terrain penalties. There are definitely chapters where paladins are good, including the one we're about to do. But the Marcia does benefit significantly by being a flyer relative to everyone else, and Danvid actually has some utility as well in terms of just being able to like go up ledges, which is really just relevant in 3.9, but still it is something that he can do that they cannot. So that is somewhat notable, but obviously, you know, a lot of the time Danvid has lower movement, so that does make him worse. So like if you were looking at a ranking, like Joffrey's definitely like the best, followed by Kieran, probably followed by Marcia. A trained Marcia might be better than Kieran, you know, maybe if she had transfer bonuses and he didn't, or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember how many levels Marcia might have gotten by now, but and then, you know, probably Danvid is better than Makalov, and they're definitely both better than Astrid. Alright, so other things to talk about. There's a horse slayer in the shop I got for Marcia. I also got a hammer and put that in the convoy for Har for next chapter. And I got Makalov, a wind edge. She doesn't really need, but eh. And I got Danvid a steel great lance, basically because he needs to do a little bit more damage at the beginning of the chapter. And I don't know why I hadn't done this already. Yeah, so here we are on chapter 2-3. This is a seize map. Joffrey has to seize this tile that the boss, Tashoria, is standing on. We don't actually have to kill the boss. There are a couple notable things. This guy has a speed wing. That's something that we really want to get. We have all these yellow units to command, and they're actually pretty strong. I mean, they're not like crazy strong, but they're stronger than the enemies, generally speaking. I mean, they're promoted, and the enemies are mostly not, so that's a big part of it, of course. And then there's a BEXP objective to not kill enemies. So for every enemy that you leave alive up to 50 enemies, you get BEXP. The map starts with 50 enemies. You do have to kill some to complete the map, but then there are some reinforcements, so you can actually get full BEXP for that if you're very careful about how many enemies you kill. I'm not going to be trying to optimize for that very much because I frankly don't care that much about BEXP. Like the way that Radiant Dawn works and the limitation that I mentioned like way back in 1P means that like BEXP just isn't that valuable to me, because I can't really use it to level up very much. Not to mention that it tends not to go very far anyway. Like it's like the ideal use case, of course, for BEXP in Radiant Dawn is leveraging capped stats to improve other stats, and that's just not a consideration here. Anyway, so we're not gonna like super focus on that, but it is something to keep in mind. We're not gonna like go out of our way to kill enemies, certainly. Especially because like these are generally not units that we care about leveling, even to the extent that we do care about leveling units. So, yeah, I think that's all that needs to be said, so let's get started. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to get Danvid up here, and we're going to rescue him with Marcia, and then we're going to have Joffrey take him and drop him off here, and with the Steel Great Lance, which allows him to one-round some enemies that are coming down from the top that he wouldn't otherwise be able to one-round. We also want to drop him off here so that we can like block enemies from coming across this tile, which means that these enemies here can't like come here and stand in front of us. That's not necessarily like a concern in terms of like, oh, Joffrey isn't going to kill them because he totally would. But like if somebody cantos back and then in front of them, then we have to kill them next turn, and we basically want to be required to kill as few enemies on player phase as possible, because that means we can kill other enemies, essentially. We want things to not be in our way, is the other way of saying that. Anyway, alright, so, so we're just going to make a beeline to the boss in general. So yeah, and then everybody else is just going to move forward. Oh, shoot, I almost forgot to direct my units. Whoops. Okay, so we're going to direct them to here. They're not going to reach that tile this turn, obviously, but we just want them moving forward. Because we want the yellow units to basically just serve as a distraction and a buffer. So, like, a combination of getting the red units to move away from us and blocking the red units from moving towards us. Oh, I didn't mention that I wasn't deploying Astrid. I'm not deploying Astrid. She's bad. I mean, it was probably evident from the fact that I didn't deploy Astrid, but yeah. And she's really a liability. Like, she can die. Oh, hello. Okay. Well, that's a kill we didn't need to get. I mean, it's fine, but it will slightly reduce our BXP, because that's somebody that Marcia would not have otherwise killed. Anyway, yeah, so what we want to do basically is just, like, have as few enemies as possible in the column that all of our units are in this turn. So the next turn, we can charge as far forward as possible. I mean, obviously we have Kanto, but if there's enough enemies in the way, then you can end up in a situation where you need to, like, run somebody up, kill, and then when you're trying to Kanto forward, there's still another enemy in your way, and you can't go as far. So we're trying to avoid that, and having Danved where he is accomplishes that goal. Because there should, in the end, be only one enemy that actually gets in our way. That being this guy right here, that axe fighter. Well, and then these two guys up here, but those guys would be there no matter what. Okay, so now we're gonna have Kieran take this guy out and open the way. Do it with the silver axe to make sure we don't miss. And then let's see. Akalov does not double this guy. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. Alright, that's a good enough hit rate. I'm just gonna pop that. Move Marcia to here. And now we might as well do this. And now Danved is gonna come up and finish that guy off. Okay, so we're gonna leave the yellow unit target here because we basically just want to block all these enemies down here from being able to come up through this choke point. The other enemies, like, not that there's very many of them, but that can get around there will probably attack the yellow units anyway, because the yellow units are weaker. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna leave that there, and we're gonna have Joffrey come up here, equip a javelin, and trade Danved short spear, and that way we can counterattack against the two warriors with bowguns up at the top there. And we do need to kill them ultimately, or at least be able to screen Marcia from them. So it's easier to kill them than to not, certainly. So they're hard to double. They've got 19 speed. So by hard, I mean impossible. So that's why we really do want that extra damage. Yeah, one thing that's unfortunate about those healers is that if you're directing your yellow units to move, then they won't heal. Which makes them pretty useless. I mean, other than as, like, cannon fodder. Because, there's not really, like, a good way to use the yellow units that doesn't involve telling them to move. Like, if you just set them to roam, they're not going to do anything useful. They're just going to fight the enemies at the bottom. And I can't really even imagine, like, an approach to this chapter that wants them to do that. Because even if you're playing casually and slowly, like, you still want to get the BXP. It's more valuable than the combat experience, for sure. Anyway, alright, so we gotta check on a couple things. The first is, so there's a guy over here with a horse slayer. He's pretty dangerous. We want to see what our odds are of taking him out. Not great. On the other hand, Marsha won't die if she misses, so we're just gonna go for it. Okay. So we're gonna have to be a little bit careful with how we set the rest of our units up, given that. So Joffrey, let's see. Karen, how much damage? Yeah, you're not one-shotting that guy. Okay, so we're going to have Joffrey go ahead and take this guy out with the Brave Lance. And then he's just going to charge as far forward as he can, which is setting up for two things. One is breaking down the door next turn so that we can get to the seize point, and the other is luring forward this guy with the speed wing. I don't actually know exactly what the triggering conditions are for him moving forward, but at the very least he does move forward. So I know that whatever they are, I've met them. Alright, so now we need to do one of two things here. Kill this guy or surround him, and meanwhile we have to kill this guy. This guy we can kill with Makalov plus Kiran, so we're going to have Danved try to crit this guy. And fail. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, hello. He can actually reach. That's not supposed to... That could be a problem. I mean, we've got the... Oh, maybe we can... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, never mind. We can target the yellow units to screen that. Okay. Although we also have the Horse Slayer to worry about. So maybe what we do is we put the yellow units over here and we put our units over here. I think that's what we're doing. Yeah. So Kiran, have her of more HP. It's going to take the damage from this guy. Or not. Alright, and we've got to direct our units now. So how far can you get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, that should be... Let's see, what about this guy? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that should be fine. So we'll direct them to here. And have Makalov... Almost attacked the wrong guy there. Stop right there. Yeah, those two axe calves are up at the top there. It's a little unfortunate that we weren't able to wall them off and force them to retreat to the right. If Marsha had gotten her kill, or Danved had gotten his, we probably could have. Is he firing at his own guy? Heh. Nice. Pass the vulnerary. Most fun game. Okay, so now we want to open the door, lure the boss out, and then seize next turn. Let's talk about that a little bit. So the boss has not that much attack, but he does have a high crit rate, and he doubles everyone but Danved, and I actually have seen him double crit kill Joffrey. Specifically, as Joffrey has 35 HP thanks to the stone thrower here, and he does 6 damage, so 6 times 6 is 36, and that's enough to kill. This door all has a ton of HP, so the easiest way to open it is with the Brave Lance. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to set Danved up to be the one who he attacks, because Danved doesn't get doubled, as I mentioned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so we can get him to move out to here. And that's what we want to do. So we're going to move Danved to here. We're gonna go ahead and equip the short spear, and then use a vulnerary. And we'd want to do that because this guy will come down and attack. Anyway, so then Joffrey... Let's just double check my tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And get out. So that's what we're doing. Okay. And let's see. We should probably take this guy out. We should probably try to take this guy out again. There we go. I think I'll just put Marcia here. Just decrease a little bit the amount of damage that I'm taking from that stone thrower. Clumping a little bit less. Akalov, can you finish this guy off? You cannot. That's fine. Alright, we're gonna equip a hand axe. And move to here. Again, so that we can counterattack this guy. We also want to trade Joffrey a javelin so he can counterattack this guy. And we need to direct our yellow units as well. Mostly we just want them to, again, be a distraction. So we're just going to have them target this spot. I guess so that they're just, like, not letting these guys through. And then we're going to trade this steel blade over, so why not, have Joffrey equip a javelin, have Makalov equip a wind edge, and go here and just, again, try to prevent enemies from circling around and getting in Joffrey's way. And these enemies should mostly just attack the yellow units anyway. Based bow paladin is invincible. Oh, interesting. He goes, oh, because he's in the woods. Yeah, that's why. Or the thicket, whatever. Oh, don't shoot Danved. I don't think they can knock him down to a point where he dies to the boss. But I could be wrong about that. Could definitely be wrong about that. David doesn't normally take as much damage as he did, so like he didn't full heal off the Vulnerary. I suppose I should have given him one of the concoctions. Okay, well, if he could have killed him, he didn't, so it doesn't matter. So something I think that's worth noting, it may not be obvious in terms of why I set this up the way that I did. I'm not so much actually worried about Joffrey dying to the boss, necessarily, as... So Joffrey does 34 damage to the boss, he has 37 HP, so even if the boss attacks Joffrey and Joffrey counters with the Brave Lance, he won't kill him. And there's a guy with a physics staff up here who will heal the boss, so if we put the boss in a position where we have to kill him, and Joffrey doesn't hit his, like, 2% crit off the Brave Lance, then, like, he'll still be alive, and then we have to deal with him this turn, and Joffrey can't help kill him, and he'll have a bunch of HP, and we can't double him, and it's all a big mess. So it's better to just have him, like, this, so that we just have a clear path right to the objective. Anyway, so now our goal is to take this guy out and get the Speedwing. And moreover, what we want to do is trade our equipment around so that we can send it to the convoy. So, to that end, let's see how much damage you're doing, Kieran. Alright, that's pretty good. And Marcia, how likely are you to pick up the kill here? Likely enough. Okay, so she needs 2 items, which she can get. What about Makalov? Oh, Makalov's guaranteed. So we should actually trade some stuff to Makalov. And as long as we're doing that, we can at least see if we can get the Wodao from the boss. Okay, yeah, he definitely would have died if he'd gotten crit. Whoops. He only has a 24% crit against Danvid, though. That's interesting. I mean, I guess in theory I could have Marcia trade for the Brave Lance and kill him, and then Kanto over Makalov trades for some stuff. Yeah, that could work. Let's try this first and see what happens. Okay, didn't kill him. So, Brave Lance, 10 damage, Steel Lance, 10 damage. That is indeed a kill. Let's see, 80, 85. Brave Lance actually has higher hit rate. Okay, so we'll do that. Bang. Do we need this Woda? I don't know. But we got it. Alright, so now, as I said, we need to trade for some stuff from Marcia so that we can send Speedwing to the convoy and give it to her. Alright, so there we go. That is 2-3 completed in 5 turns with all, I don't know, side objectives met, I guess. Oh, I forgot to check how many enemies were left alive. Whoops. Darn. Oh well, it doesn't really matter that much anyway. I guess we can actually do this. Alright, looks like 41 enemies were left alive, so we missed out on 900 BXP, which is honestly like a drop in the bucket. Not that it matters that much anyway, but it's, you know, it's interesting to see. I think the most that I've ever completed this chapter having left alive is like 46 maybe, or something like that. So not too far off that mark anyway. All right, so thanks for watching, and I will see you next time for 2E. Until then.